Good morning, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Thank y'all so much for tapping back in to see what I have to say. I promise y'all, it truly does mean the world to me. But with that being said, what are we talking about? We're talking about Quant Network in this one, okay, you guys? Listen, I want you guys to truly understand that the institutional money is getting ready to flow through this network, okay, you guys? What a lot of people don't realize is Quant Network has become what Bitcoin was trying to be, but they're doing it for the institutions. Bitcoin was supposed to be your peer-to-peer payment system. What Quant Network has become is the institution to institution payment system. Truly understand and see things like the institutional internet of value is being built out right in front of our faces, okay? In this video, I got a few things coming for you guys. Follow me on this. I'm even gonna throw XRP in this as well, because the institutional internet of value, it is a coalition of the biggest players in Web3, literally making it a reality. And the XRP and that liquidity that they're able to offer is such quick. Y'all understand and see what's being laid out when we get things like delivery versus payment, which means we have instant payment and instant settlement, and it's able to be interchangeable. Truly understand and see what's being laid out. But anyway, we're hopping more into this internet of value that is being built out. We got a tweet coming from my boy, Gilbert Verdian, the CEO of Quant Network. And it is being delivered by none other than Maximus Crypto, the GOAT of QNT, okay? So we're gonna dive a little bit into this first video, coming from my boy Maximus Crypto, and I will be right back.
Interesting to see, once again, the terminology change here. So we went from internet of value now to institutional internet of value. Now I'll mention just a couple things here and I'm going to jump into this next part. Current layer 2 rollup architectures typically operate on a single chain, bringing same fragmentation and limitations of a layer 1 in a world where networks are inherently interconnected and interoperable. They foresee what's going to happen near future, but with Quant Fusion, they can begin that journey today with new layer 2.5 architecture consisting of multi-ledger rollups, securely and seamlessly bringing corporates and institutions on-chain. Fusion enables multi-ledger rollups to span multiple layer 1 blockchains, and of course preserving privacy, unifying fragmented assets, so on and so forth. But look what he says on the bottom, as in Gilbert Verdian. It's purpose-built for internet-scale networks and enterprise environments. Fusion allows tokenized assets on private blockchains to safely, seamlessly interoperate with public ones. It's a breakthrough. Unlocks trillions of private markets, tokenized money, regulate digital assets, enable them to run securely across blockchains while meeting the strict privacy, security, and compliance standards required by institutions. Is this where 99% of what is called crypto goes away? Because when you look more into things like even Quant, they don't even consider themselves a cryptocurrency. Does even Ripple consider itself a cryptocurrency? I mean, draw your own conclusion, but I think the terminology here is worth sharing. Take it to this next part. Let's establish more of a paper trail by connecting some things of this quote of the internet of value. For one, Brad Garlinghouse, June 27th, mentioned this. He says Ripple dropping, of course, their cross appeal, and the SEC is expected to drop their appeal. But basically speaking, Ripple is looking to build the internet of value. More about this topic of the internet of value? Dates back to January 25th, again, 2021. And like it says here, they added 100 plus new faces to the team. I mean, at this point, thousands, right? And like it says here, no matter what, we'll stay true to our mission of building an internet of value. Let's jump back to Gilbert. He points out July 29th, institutional internet of value. Okay? And again, I think that's so important.
Now you just heard everything that Gilbert had to say. via Maximus. You just saw literally how Fusion, Overledger Fusion, is not a hope, it's not a dream, it's not a want. It is something that is tangible, a product that can be used, a product that can be onboarded, and it fixes a current day problem. Here is your solution, Overledger Fusion. Truly see what's being laid out right in front of our faces, you guys. Literally, and you have players like a Quant Network. You have players like a XRP. We can really hop into some XRP in a little bit, and then we go tie Quant and XRP together. Follow me on this, okay? Follow me, because this time in Web3 and knowing the things that is being disseminated on this channel and into the channel of value right now in 2025, because you could very well be lost down a lane of meme coins right now and have no clue that Quant or XRP or XLM even exist. So just follow me down this. Like, I appreciate y'all tapping in. So in this next video, come from our boy Maximus Crypto, we have a report coming from Ripple, and they're talking about, literally, it's coming from the Boston Consortium Group. They're calling for a $19 trillion tokenized market by 2033. And to think, if we get to 19 trillion by 2033, what does that mean for 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, and beyond up until that point? This ride is going to be incredible because we have the institutional deployment of blockchain and distributed ledger technologies happening right now, you guys, right now. Okay, follow me on this because you know I'm always going somewhere. We're going to hop into this video and I will be right back.
Back to Ripple, because on July 29th, they have this announcement literally from Ripple.com, and most people miss this. It's how traditional finance is investing in blockchain. And what you're going to see here is definitely worth pointing out because it's going to be, I don't know, in my opinion, really, really interesting because, again, when you get further down into it, points out a shift is undeniable. Traditional finance is making a decisive move into the digital asset space. Blockchain unlocks cheaper, faster, and more accessible services and opens up doors to new finance use cases. Yeah, I would say so. And how about this? Remember I talked about institutional internet of value? Look at this. Institutional blockchain adoption and demand is quickly ramping up. And it cites some other things that we talked about. But this time around, instead of citing things like with Chainlink and, for example, what you saw from, what was it, McKinsey? Well, you see this from Boston Consulting Group. Once again, a new report about stable coin transaction volumes reached 700 billion per month. My God. In early 2025, and Boston Consultancy Group projects nearly 19 trillion tokenized assets by 2033. So now we're even higher than what I showed you in those examples. Ripple's own research, yes, now this time Ripple, not Chainlink, nothing against Chainlink, found that 90% of global finance leaders expect blockchain to have a significant or massive impact on finance in the next 3 years. So
now you guys just heard everything that my brother Maximus Crypto just had to say in regards to both Ripple and that report that was coming out of the Boston Consortium Group. Like, truly understanding, seeing these are the big boys, these are the big players now talking about this process of tokenization. Like this, these are the true institutional players because they're the ones that manage other institutional players. Like, truly see what's being laid out right in front of our faces, and this platinum platter that has been so elegantly laid out for us as far as this utility realm of these ISO gems that we know and we hold. Like, truly see what's being laid out. But now I'm getting ready to nerd it out just a little bit for my people that may be a little techie. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still cool, it's still watchable. I want you to watch it. We're getting ready to see Overledger in action. Yes, actual Overledger. We're getting ready to see a smart contract get deployed on actual Overledger, and we're going to use XRP as their liquidity settlement layer. Truly see what Overledger is and what, when The developers who do this all day long, you know what I'm saying? This is what they do for companies. The people are literally, it is what their salary pays them for, is development of companies, different software and back-end services. So truly understand that we have all of these connections that now tie into Overledger in multiple different developer ports around the world. You have things like Whippy. You have things like Zapier and Make. You have things like Pipe Dreams. These are all developer portals that tap into thousands, if not millions of companies around the world's back-end infrastructure that now have integrations with Overledger. Truly understand and see what's happening right in front of our faces, okay? Now we're gonna hop into this little piece of Overledger in action. Come from my boy Maximus Crypto via Quant, and I will be right back.
Quant's demo application showcases Overledger's API and provides an example of how to build an application with the client side and server side using Overledger 2.0. Overledger 2.0 uses OAuth 2 to authenticate API requests. This token will be used in the authorization header of your API calls to Overledger. The demo application showcases the single transaction and linked transaction features, as well as enabling the creation of subscriptions, which receive status updates about transactions submitted to a DLT via a callback URL. For single transactions, first select a DLT, enter an origin ID, a destination ID, and a destination amount. Once done, click Create. The demo app will show an API output screen to demonstrate the steps that takes place each time an API call is made to Overledger. The API output screen has been slowed down for viewing. Accepting the DLT transaction fee will initiate the signing of the transaction and then execute the transaction through Overledger. The details of the transaction can then be viewed and subscribed to receive status updates to the callback URL. Subscribing to the transaction, Overledger will return a subscription ID, where clicking on transaction details will call the MDAP transaction API to retrieve status updates from Overledger, and clicking on full details will search the DLT for the transaction information. For linked transactions, select the DLT that the initial transaction will be on, and which DLT will have the audit of the transaction. The initial transaction will follow the same flow as the single transaction, and once it has been executed and subscribed to, transaction updates will appear on the subscriptions page. Once the transaction is successful, an audit button will appear on the subscriptions page that will initiate the audit transaction creation flow. On the subscription page, we can also unsubscribe from receiving updates if we wish.
Launch of Overledger platform.
We're launching Overledger platform as the enterprise standard for building on blockchain. We've taken all the experience and work that we've done for the Bank of England, Bank of International Settlement, and opened that up for the rest of the industry to use.
By using Overledger between their technology and the blockchains, they've got a standardized API layer that translates all of the messages that are needed, which means that people can build faster, they can build more securely, they can build without hiring external developers, they can use their existing in-house developers. And not only that, they can connect their existing technologies. So rather than building a whole new platform, take the platform you've got and build a blockchain module for it using Overledger. You could get to market 3, 6, 9 times faster depending on your use case.
Blockchain projects need this kind of technology. It makes the projects faster, it makes them cheaper, and it makes them last a lot longer once they're built. So Overledger platform is just a massive enabler.
Overledger is a game changer because it allows people to connect to blockchains without knowing anything about them. We have all of our APIs in a business language, so you don't have to have any expertise in blockchain to be able to connect to them. It just makes it super easy and super simple.
It's our way of creating mass adoption of the technology. It's an enterprise way to access this new innovative technology without having all the friction and the barriers and the challenges that come with it.
Overledger platform is simple, trusted, and future-proof. It's available today from our website.
as you can see, what you just witnessed was literally interoperability. What you just saw was coming from one, sending through, and going to another. I believe they used XRP and Ethereum in that very last case. Truly see what is being laid out. And there's no more lines of code. You don't have to wrap the asset, all the things that is required in the current realm of Web3. They now have an interoperable solution that is patented, tied to global standards and internet protocols, central banks, the Bank of International Settlement, multinational corporations, governments, commercial banks, Quant Network's ecosystem, and customer base. Truly see what's being laid out right in front of our faces. And you also saw how simple that was. They literally, I want to say, made it dummy proof if you're a coder or developer and you're putting these back end processes together, because they put it in a language that they already know. They put it in a language they already currently use. Truly see and understand what Quant Network has built out. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again in this video, especially because we're talking about institutional investment and institutional capital flowing through this network. I do not feel that this 2024 bull run historically will play out the way the last few have. And that's only because we've never been in the space of Web3 where we have real institutional investment coming into the market via things like ETFs and via things literally like central bank digital currencies, via things like stablecoin regulation being passed in America and MiCA being passed in the EU, seeing things like the UK actively working on legislation. Understand what is truly being laid out right now. And you have big players like JP Morgan announcing stable coins. You have a big player like BNY Mellon custodying reserves for Ripple. Like, truly understand what is being laid out. I do not see or foresee that this Bitcoin 4-year cycle is going to historically be as we foresee it to be, because the game has completely changed. I'm telling you guys. And my fear for most of retail is that come November, December, they're going to historically do what they normally do, which is try to sell the top so you can buy back in at the bottom, and that bottom never comes back. Because there's no way that even if, let's just say it like this, even if the stablecoin market only goes up to $1 trillion, what does that do for the rest of the market? And can you buy back into where that new market is? Really think about what's happening. And I'm not saying, this ain't financial advice, and I'm not saying don't take profit. I'm not saying that whatsoever. Make your moves, do what you're going to do. But a moon bag would not be a bad thing, because we do not know where this market is getting ready to go. And if the institutional capital that is pent up on the sidelines actually get that green light for a go, understand what that's going to mean for these markets. Not just for 2025, but going into 2026 as more and more of them on board, 2027 as more and more of them on board, 2028 as more and more of them on board. And now we're at the point of the G20's roadmap of CBDC/stablecoin being massively adopted for retail 2028. Then now think of 2029. And now think of now being actually at 2030 on their roadmap of world distributed ledger technology use on massive levels, mass adoption of the technology. That's the reason why a Boston consortium group can say by 2033 having a $19 trillion tokenized market, because there would have been a onboarding from right now in 2025 up to that point. And I strongly feel that this time is different. I could be wrong, and we could go through the worst bear market in history and we go down 98%, 99%. But the evidence is definitely pointing in the other direction. And like, again, this is just me just talking into the webinars and universe. This is not me giving financial advice. This is not me telling anybody to do anything. This is just me stating what I'm clearly seeing and listening to people like the crypto.com CEO say the Bitcoin 4-year cycle is dead. Like, this is stuff that come out of their mouths. But I don't have a seat at the White House. He did.
And my general point of view is that we need to forget about the 4-year cycles. The structure of the market has changed fundamentally, and everybody has to understand that the game is completely different right now. I think we may have a bit of choppy waters over the next couple of months, but the foundation that is being laid by this new administration for crypto and for business in general is one that is very strong and sustainable. So I think we're going to see another leg of this rally, and I'm very, very optimistic about the market towards the end of 2025 and going into 2026.
Understand and truly know what's being laid out right in front of our faces. The institutional onboarding of distributed ledger technologies is getting ready to be a go. You have things like ISO 20022 that is getting ready to go 1000% live November 22nd, 2025. You have things like ISO TC 307, the global standard for building on blockchain, actively having working groups and talking about in different committees on different levels. Truly see what's happening when things like the IETF Secure Asset Transfer Protocol goes from the onboarding process to live. Truly see what's being laid out right in front of our faces. And we hold things like a Quant Network, and we hold things like a Ripple XRP, and we hold things like a hedera hashgraph hbar, and you hold things like a Stellar XLM, and you hold things like XDC. Y'all, they're literally becoming a part of the rails. And I want to tie myself to the rails, because as these rails get used time and time again, that only brings value to the network, which only brings value to the thing that powers the network. I don't want to be tied to the next hot meme. I don't want to be tied to the next hot craze, because those things go up real fast and they go down real fast. I want something that's going to go up real fast eventually and then stabilize and then have a steady go up, because the networks are constantly being used 24 hours a day, 365. I'm not tied to somebody tweeting something. I'm not tied to a tariff being launched against the country, which makes the market go red. I'm tied to the utilization of the network based off of literally cities and states and countries utilizing the technology in their everyday processes every time they do any type of payment or tap or swipe or send money in some type of way or another, buying things. Truly understand what's being laid out right in front of our faces. This time is different. And who knows, it may be a flip that goes off like a hitch, or it might be a slow trickle up. But guess what? I don't want to miss the boat either way. Okay? Just follow me on this. I know I may have ruffled some feathers with this whole Bitcoin 4-year cycle thing, but in my eyes, it's just not the same. Okay? So until the next time, y'all already know I appreciate y'all. And if you made it all the way through this entire video, type in Bitcoin, because Quant truly is what Bitcoin tried to be. I appreciate y'all. Y'all already know. For real. Peace out.